join us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, quite a little pile of stuff here. Moines County Board of Supervisors, November 10th, 2020. Are there any changes to the tentative agenda?
I have none.
I have none. The department heads and elected officials. Terry Johnson, Moines County Auditor,
Good morning.
newly elected auditor.
Yep. We survived so far. We still have a lot of cleanup and finalization to do for the election. Later on, after you guys canvass, we still have 2 township trustee positions that we get to draw names for, because there was several people in there that got 2 votes.
My apologies. Go ahead.
Several that just got 1 vote. And then also this Thursday, at 1 p.m. here in the boardroom, we will have the post-election audit. The Secretary of State chose precinct 7 to audit, so we will recount all of their ballots. I think there was 495. So we'll do that recount on Thursday. And we're just trying to finish up on stuff and go on.
Feel like a weight was taken off your shoulders?
Oh, give me another week or 2, and then the weight will be a lot lighter, so.
Well,
I did hear a compliment for Iowa and how they handled their elections on a national news syndicate.
Yeah.
Talking about they did very good, their polls out of Des Moines was great, only ones that were correct. They had a lot of good things to say about you guys.
Well, we've been doing absentee voting for quite a while, and it's been increasing, so it's not like it's anything new for us. It just keeps getting tweaked and
Well,
tweaked
don't tell
more.
them that,
so.
just accept the compliment.
Yeah, I know, thank you. But yeah, there's some states that never dealt with it before until this year because of the virus, and it's just, I don't know.
well, thank you, and once again, good job, Admiral, and you and your entire staff. Jared, land use.
I got one item on the agenda, nothing else, really particular I wanted to discuss today. It's been kind of a quiet week, I think with the election, it's, things have been temporarily, at bay in terms of new, land use inquiries, but, could very well resume anytime, so. That's all I have.
Thank you. Sheriff Mike Johnstone.
Morning, Tom. To say the least, we're very happy with the results of the election, and we're working very closely and, for a very smooth transition into Sheriff Glendinnings's term coming up. So things are going very well. We've had a command meeting yesterday, and so things will just keep moving on as it has in the past. So we do have a couple of hires we're working on, trying to get a few deputies lined up for, because there will be some movement in our command structure at the sheriff's office, and room for other folks to move up in the office, which would be a great thing. So Kevin may have a comment on that also, but again, we're moving forward and very happy for a smooth transition in the future.
Thanks, Mike.
That's all I got, thanks.
Rodney Gleason, maintenance.
Good morning. Don't really have too much. We're keeping busy. I want to thank my guys. They've done a great job the last few weeks with the election and getting things set up and taking care of all that stuff. So I really appreciate all their help. They've done a fantastic job. Also want to remind everybody tomorrow that the courthouse will be closed to honor Veterans Day. So just want to make sure to remind everybody that the whole courthouse will be closed down tomorrow. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Rodney. Ken Hyman, Community Services.
Good morning. Just keeping busy. Probably the only big news is our mailbox fell over. We've ordered a new mailbox for the buildings there on Cottonwood. And I'm just going to the post office to get the mail for the moment, so.
Somebody hit it?
No, it just rusted underneath and finally fell over. So, it was a multiple mailbox.
It was a steel post, I think just from years with the salt and snow, it just rusted the bottom off. So, got a new one on order, should be here soon.
Are they regular fence posts?
No, it was a 4x4.
I was gonna say, I've got some of them I'd donate to you to get them out of our garage.
Thanks, Ken.
Yep.
Brian Carter, Secondary Roads.
Good morning. Things are going good on the bridge on Highway 99. They're moved the deck for the most part, if not entirely, and starting to move the steel beams are being torched off and moved out. So making good headway. Got a couple runaround pipes sitting down the creek, but they don't have the runaround, or it's not really a runaround in this case, but built. So that progress is going good. Weather's been good, and they've definitely made headway. We are working towards, as you know, a future project, and I'll mention this later on in the work session, we're working towards another bridge project to the north on 99, and one of those things we have to do is get some soil borings done. So we may be looking at a one-day closure, because the bridge is, we're still trying to figure out, they don't think they can do the soil borings and keep the bridge open because it's so narrow. So, which is a screwy time because of the way it all falls, but it's a little bit beyond our control also. So I'll let you guys know more, and if we end up having to do a closure, we'll obviously communicate with the public, but that's not there yet, I guess is what I'll say. So we're still figuring all that out. We'll have, we have bids out for our shop on Iowa City Road. That'll be, I think we have a bid opening next week. So that's coming along, a lot of interest, so that's a good deal. And we will be mailing out bids for the Flint Bottom Road paving project, probably today, actually. So, so we'll take bids on that in December, probably after a board meeting at some point. I think the second week in December, but anyway, so that's going on, a lot of activity, just getting projects out the door and of course stuff going on.
Thanks, Brian. Angie Vaughn, Safety.
Good morning. I really don't have anything new at this time.
Krista Pogomil, Local Health.
Good morning. We continue to be busy at Public Health. Obviously, our numbers have gone up for the county. As of this morning, there was 2,016 positive cases. Our percentage is 19.2%. It's down from 20%, but we still continue to be pretty high up there. We are changing our immunization clinics. Instead of having walk-in clinics on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're going to change those to appointment only, and then call our local health department at the 753-8290 number to schedule those appointments. And that's due to capacity. We're really just trying to keep up with this contact tracing. We are hiring another part-time temporary contact tracer, but we've just had a lot of cases here recently, as I'm sure that you've all heard. Other than that, I do have an agenda item.
I noticed on the state website that there's only, is it 8 or 9 counties that are below 15%? So
Yes.
it's over 91 or something like that. So, thank you, Krista. Colin, are you on the line with Colin Gerst IT?
Yes, I am.
How's it going?
So, a lot better. My office had quite an interesting end of the week there last week. We're all kind of out sick at the moment, but we're doing some work from home and trying to keep as busy as we can. You know, I kind of notified all the department heads what was going on, and I appreciate all the emails I got, you know, wishing us to get better and everything. I appreciate that a lot. It means a lot. I'm kind of stuck downstairs in the basement at home, self-isolating, trying to keep away from the family. My wife's upstairs with my 2 girls, and I think if you asked her, I'm probably getting the better deal of the situation. So, but overall, that's pretty much it. Just trying to get as much work done as we can remotely. And then here, I see we have one other caller on here, and it's Jeff Brewer from Conservation.
Okay, thanks, Colin. Give your wife our regards.
I will.
Confident it'll be a long time for her. Jeff Brewer, Conservation.
Good morning. busy with burns. The beautiful weather the last few days has helped us really get a lot of work done in the field. Most of the parks are closed up for the winter, although Big Hollow is still open. We had 16 campers this past weekend. Other than that, we have an agenda item later on, and that's about it.
Thank you, Jeff. Didn't miss anybody, did I? Okay. Christie took care of COVID-19. Did not have any correspondence, did either of you gentlemen?
No. No.
Proceed to discussion and vote. Discussion. Krista, did you want to read this into the record?
Yes, that would be great. Do you need a copy?
No, we've got a copy up here. It's a Des Moines County Board of Health position statement on electronic cigarettes.
Yes. So the Board of Health met to discuss electronic e-cigarettes for quite some time. That's been a concern. A couple of years ago, it was a big thing in the news with e-cigarettes and how they affected young people and the lung damage it was doing. So they felt very strongly about this and wanted to do a position statement. Des Moines County Board of Health supports the inclusion of prohibition of the use of e-cigarettes in state and local smoke-free air regulations and/or tobacco and nicotine-free policies in order to maintain current standards of clean indoor air, prevent involuntary exposure to nicotine and other aerolized emissions from e-cigarettes, and reduce the potential for renormalization of tobacco product use. The Surgeon General issued an advisory on e-cigarette use among youth in December of 2018. He declared e-cigarette use among youth an epidemic in the United States and called for aggressive steps to protect our children from these highly potent products that risk exposing a new generation of young people to nicotine. Nicotine is highly addictive, and exposure during adolescence can harm the developing brain, impacting learning, memory, mood, impulse control, and attention. Nicotine also impacts the cardiovascular system by increasing heart rate and blood pressure. Since 2014, e-cigarettes have been most commonly used tobacco product among United States youth. From 2017 to 2018, e-cigarette use among high school students increased from 78% and 48% among middle school students. Research shows that youth and young adults are particularly attracted to e-cigarettes due to the sweet fruit, candies, cookies, cereal flavors combined with targeted marketing practices known to attract kids. In 2019, 4.1 million high school students used the e-cigarette and 1.2 million middle school students. E-cigarettes go by many names. There are hundreds of brands and thousands of flavors. In 2017, a product named Juul gained huge popularity with unit sales increasing by more than 600%. Juul sales surpassed all other companies, and in December of 2018, Altria, maker of Marlboro, purchased a 35% stake in Juul. This product has minimal exhaled aerosol, reduced odor, comes in menthol and fruit flavors, and has a sleek USB flash drive design. A Juul cartridge or a pod uses nicotine salts, which allows for high levels of nicotine to be inhaled more easily with less irritation. These pods contain as much as nicotine as an entire pack of cigarettes. New devices allow users to mix their own filler liquids. E-cigarettes aerosol is not harmless. In addition to nicotine, the aerosol that users inhale and exhale from e-cigarettes contains other harmful substances, including heavy metals, formaldehyde, acrolein, cancer-causing chemicals, volatile organic compounds, ultrafine particles that can be inhaled deeply into the lungs. The nicotine present in e-cigarette aerosol is absorbed not only by users, but by bystanders as well. The FDA has just begun to regulate e-cigarettes, so there is no mechanism for consumers to know for sure what is in the products of the aerosol. In terms of disproportionate impact identified through national studies among youth, older students, Hispanics, and whites are more likely to use e-cigarettes than younger students and blacks. Among adults, males, Hispanics, whites, and those with lower levels of education are more likely to use e-cigarettes than females, blacks, and those with higher level of education. Additionally, there's currently no conclusive scientific evidence that e-cigarettes promote long-term cessation, and e-cigarettes are not included as a recommended smoking cessation method by the U.S. Public Health Service. Unfortunately, e-cigarettes use is strongly associated with the use of other tobacco products among youth and young adults, including traditional combustible cigarettes. At the federal level, President Trump has moved to increase the legal age to purchase vaping products to 21 years and has limited the availability of flavored vaping products. While the Des Moines County Board of Health appreciates these efforts, the board concludes the evidence-based population level strategy of including a prohibition of use of e-cigarettes in state and local smoke-free air regulations and/or tobacco nicotine-free policies is a necessary step to address this public health epidemic by reducing e-cigarette use. Des Moines County Board of Health also recommends consideration of additional evidence-based population level strategies to reduce e-cigarette use among young people, restricting young people's access to e-cigarettes in retail settings, licensing retailers, implementing price policies, strategies to curb e-cigarette advertising market that are appealing to young people, and strategies to reduce access to flavored tobacco products by young people. And that was adopted by the Board of Health on 10/8/2020.
Okay, thank you. We've already held a public hearing on this, voted against it a few months ago, but we'll accept this as a position statement from the Board of Health. Thank you, Krista.
Thank you.
It's a lot of reading out loud. If you aren't a first grade teacher. We have resolution 2020-49 and final plat for the Tick Ridge, another strangely named subdivision. I'm guessing that's you, Jared?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a trade-off. Every other week we get an interesting name, and then it's a person's name the week after that, so it's a nice balance. This one's when you get right down to it, apart from the name, it's a pretty simple situation here. So we have a 7.5 acre lot being created. This is off of, by the intersection of Prairie Grove and Beaverdale Roads, right near the church and the cemetery in Prairie Grove. So this is actually part of the Beckman estate, which is several hundred acres, which recently went up for auction, and it was basically split down the middle, or I think the northern piece is larger, but the northern half of that was purchased by I think an extended family member of the Beckmans, while the southern portion was purchased by Matt Johnson of Burlington. And even before that was finalized, Mr. Johnson had already coordinated with another person who was interested in buying that property, the southern part, but they worked out an arrangement where he would keep this 7.5 acre piece along Prairie Grove and then sell the remainder to this other person. And it's pretty much all wooded terrain and ravines. So the plan would be for that person to use it for private recreation and hunting. And Mr. Johnson then would essentially be the same for this smaller piece. However, the idea would be to hold on to that for at least several years and then sell it. So at this point, the long-term situation isn't quite clear for this lot. It could potentially be sold to someone who might be interested in building a home there, but that's all speculative at this point. It could just as easily remain as open space, so it's just up to whoever they sell that to, what their plans are. So it was then evaluated accordingly. In terms of comments we received, secondary roads noting that they would need to use the existing entrance off of Prairie Grove. Apart from that, I think it's a pretty straightforward situation here. We are putting a condition on the resolution, which is our standard, and for any time there could be a home developed there. This time it's more if than when, but just so that's on the record, that if someone were to build a home there, that they'd be required to put in get a permit for a septic system and have that installed prior to occupying a new house on that property. So with that, we'd recommend approval of Tick Ridge.
Move to approve. Second.
Terry?
Bob Beck?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. We'll get this signed
All right.
after the year.
Kind of in the same ballpark as Mosquito Park of the terms of naming places after annoying insects.
Better get one named after a bird to go down there and peck all those insects out.
Okay. We have a revised employment contract for the county engineer. We've discussed this for a couple of years. Apparently, he doesn't want us to rent him out to other counties.
That was just one of the things way back when, so since you guys brought it up, we took it out.
So I know you guys are looking at this, so.
Yep, I've read it. I'll make the motion that we sign the contract for Mr. Carter for the county engineer.
Second.
Terry?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Bob Beck,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now he has to buy us lunch, right?
I had no idea. Send him to Jones County for the weekends. Here up in the north.
Isn't that 43%?
Yeah. Here, I'll tell you what, when we stamp that. We have personnel action. We have one part personnel action for conservation. Marcus Knack, a naturalist, the end of his 6-month probation. The new rate is $40,929.66.
Move to approve.
Second?
Terry?
Bob Beck,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Not a problem. We have 3 personnel actions for the correctional center. We have Tucker Hulse, 2 unpaid days, 16.5 hours, October 26th and 27th, 2020. We have Tucker Hulse, full-time correctional officer, a 6-month step increase. The previous rate was $38,716.18. The new rate is $39,704.38. And we have Angela Schertz, a full-time correctional officer, a 36-month step increase. Previous rate was $42,426.82 a year. The new rate is $43,261.74 a year.
Move to approve all 3.
Second?
Terry?
Bob Beck,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. We have reports. We have the general assistance report for October of 2020. We have the Veterans Affairs report for October of 2020. Which brings to mind a question. Where are we on replacing, if we advertised a replacement for Bob Housewright as the director?
No, I was gonna check with other county auditors since it's been, what, 20 years, 29 years?
It's been a
Something
while.
like
I think we
that.
have to the end of the year.
Yeah, I
But-
thought I would ask them see what other counties have posted or described the position, so. I'll see if I can get some assistance from other county auditors.
I don't think he's gonna change his mind.
No.
That's the only way I understand. We have minutes for the regular meeting of October 27th, 2020.
Move to approve. Second?
Terry?
Bob Beck,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. And we have minutes for the regular meeting of November 4th,
Move to approve.
2020.
Second.
Terry?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Bob Beck,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes.
And I want to thank my girls for helping me get those minutes done.
Now we have a canvass of the 2020 general election. Take your shoes off, gentlemen. Do some counting.
Okay, everybody should have reports in front of them. One of them shows the summary, and the other one shows by precinct for each race. We had a special absentee board on Thursday at 1 o'clock, and we counted 6 more ballots. And then yesterday was the deadline, and we counted 3 more ballots.
Were they mail-in absentee or provisional?
Both.
Oh.
Both. We actually had 4 provisional ballots that we could not count because 3 of those they did not provide us with any, the reason that they had to vote provisional was because they didn't have proper ID with them. And they did not provide us with proper ID, so we could not count those. And the other one was a possible felon. And then we had several absentees that were received and after the deadline, and they were postmarked either election day or following the election. So there were several of those that we could not add to our count. So we ended up with 20,082 people that voted out of 28,469. So that gives us a 70.54% turnout, which is about regular. So they pushed, I think we got the brunt of it with absentee because that greatly increased, because we ended up with well over 12,000, close, I can't remember exactly what the numbers were for absentee, the total numbers. But some of the precincts had heavy turnouts, some of them didn't. But overall, you know, we had a few little issues here and there, you know, equipment, had to go fix that and stuff, but other than that, I think everything went pretty well, considering we had a lot of new people, and the chairs that were at some of those precincts said that a lot of those were keepers. So everything worked out well. So on the final election summary report, it still shows President Trump as the top vote getter in Des Moines County. And then for Senator, it was Joni Ernst. And for U.S. Rep, Marionette Miller Meeks. And for State Senator District 44, Tim Goodwin. And State Representative District 87 was Dennis Cahoon. And District 88, David Kerr. County Supervisors, the top 2 vote getters. The top vote getter was Shane McCampbell, and second behind him was Jim Carrey. There was a 14 vote difference between Jim and Bob.
Congratulations, Jim.
Does it make any difference if I found a bag of votes in my,
First of all, I'd ask you, where in the heck did you get those?
well, you just have to show them. I don't.
We did, I know, some people are astounded, because I think at one time, I think we had like 466 outstanding absentee ballots. And actually, that is less than what we've had in other general elections, because it's nothing to have between 700 and 900 of those still outstanding that we never get back. So
Some
I
people
think,
just never send them in,
They
some
just-
people take them to the polls and
yeah,
and turn them in.
surrendered them. We still have a lot of those to go through and delete those or void those that were surrendered at the polls, and so those numbers will come down, so. But, back to District 88 was David Kerr. Oh, we already did that one. Oh, auditor, me. Sheriff, we had Kevin Glendenning, and then we had township trustees. And so everybody that filed papers for each of the townships, they got voted back in. Concordia Township had a position to fill a vacancy, and there was 25 votes, and there might have been 4 of those 4 or 5 that got 2 votes apiece. So we're gonna have to draw for that one to find out who the grand winner is for that. And then also for Jackson Township, there was 2 positions open and we got 5 write-ins. One person got 2 votes, so for that second position, we're gonna have to, draw a name out of the
Would-
3.
Since their names were all drawn in, do we know these are all willing
Well,
candidates?
I don't know, you know, they might just get a letter saying, woo-hoo, you won, we drew your name, and it's up to them to write back and say, no, they
Maybe not.
choose not to take the position or something like that, but, and then also, of course, there was all the judges, Soil and Water Conservation District, all 3 of those members were voted back in, and Ag Extension, they had 4 members, and all of 4 of those were voted back in. And there's all the judges, and also at the very end, let's see, there's the public measure, that was the one whether to have a state convention, and in our county, they voted no. And also in each township, the last time we did this was back in 2006, where we gave each township the option of whether to vote for, elect, or appoint their trustees and their clerks. And at that time, half the townships chose to appoint and the other half chose to elect. And so we put that back on the ballot this time, and it passed in the remaining 6. So from now on, starting with our next general election, which is 2022, township trustees and clerks will no longer be on the ballot. They will be appointed. So that's the next thing I gotta do, is get letters sent out to all of those that need to be reappointed, so we can get that.
And obviously with an additional 9 votes, there weren't enough votes to change any results from election day, so.
No. Nope. So you've got the summary there, and then by precinct is the other one, which shows how many election day and how many absentees each candidate received, and each was brought into each precinct. And after reading about Jasper County, it's kind of like, whoa, so. So I went and double checked just to make sure that, I was satisfied that everything got downloaded correctly, so I just double checked again. And everything that was submitted on election night was downloaded correctly. So double check that, and then plus all the other additional ones were added, so.
Do we draw the names before or after we vote to approve the canvas?
Let's draw those before. So the first one we will do, let's see, Jackson Township, Steve Mullahay actually got 2 votes, so he gets 1 position, and then we have to draw for the second position. Who wants to be the lucky dog?
Chairman, we can call him up.
They already do. Orville, Byers, Pence Jr.
And he lives down there, so.
Good for him.
And then this one is for Concordia Township to fill a vacancy, and these are the ones that actually got 2 votes apiece.
Alan Schwartz.
Okay.
Are we good?
Yep, so I will make up certificates for them, so then that way you can sign those, but you can do that afterwards, but.
Okay.
Can you explain why all the states don't operate like Iowa does?
No, I cannot explain what the other states do.
What's the matter with federal government, why can't they make that constant?
Well, I think probably constitutionally that the states are supposed to take care of that. So, we need a motion to approve the results as canvassed.
So moved.
Second?
Terry?
Bob Beck,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
and Tom Broker.
Yes. We will sign these after the meeting too, so make sure we sign the right ones.
Yes,
And
yeah, you have all kinds of documents there
Yes.
to sign, so.
The chances of me guessing which ones are the right ones, probably not very high. Other business?
I have none.
I have none. Future agenda items?
I have none.
We need some time in the next couple of weeks to approve those magistrate nominees.
Yeah, I think I have to contact them
I was about to
first,
say, we
make
probably
sure.
need to contact them.
And I still need to work on, now I can concentrate on the ordinance, updating all the ordinances, accepting all of them.
Yeah. And find us a Veterans Affairs Director. You have a full plate still and the election's over.
Mm-hmm.
Any other future agenda items?
And none.
Committee reports.
We attended the conservation board with conservation. He was there, you know about it. So. But I had a Zoom meeting last night with Iowa workforce, New Mississippi Valley workforce. And only 3 people showed up. They was all in the box. They couldn't get Zoom to come through on their passwords, so we canceled it. So we'll have a test Thursday. I'll report next Tuesday.
The only meeting that I attended was that joint meeting with the Conservation Board, and they discussed some of their long-term plans and financial issues. Public input. If anybody from the public would like to address the board, we have a limited seating. Anyone with comments during the, may email the board of supervisors at board@dmcounty.com. That's BOARD@dmcounty.com, or call 319-753-8203, extension 4. That's 319-753-8203, extension 4, and we will hold those lines open for 2 minutes. Is there anybody? Yes, sir.
Michael Cecil, 2815 Herblow. I started coming to these meetings years ago with a big lapse there. And I just wanted to say thank you, Bob, for your service. You've given the community endless hours, and we appreciate that.
I second that.
Been a real pleasure. Been a real pleasure. Great people to work with.
Best of luck in the future.
They're great guy. I may need luck. It's a very rewarding experience, I have to say. It's not always pleasant.
No. But thank you.
I see a lot of grandchild visiting in your future.
Well, I have a grandson, I'm not going to be playing for Cedar Rapids Kennedy. That we have pretty high hopes for, and I expect to not miss many of those games.
Great. Anybody else? The public like to address the board? Thank you. Got 45 seconds. Anybody has anything to say? I'm sure you had something to say.
How about a moment of silence for Alex Trebek?
Oh.
Jeopardy.
That's long enough.
I didn't hear you.
Can tell they hear me.
See, maybe now you'll get some decent dialogue.
I didn't hear.
Our 2 minutes are up, so with an aye, we're adjourned.
Aye.
We're adjourned. We have a work session with the county engineer regarding construction project updates after we fix our signatures to quite some number of documents.
When does the change take place?
Tuesday night every.
got one page.
The rest of them just have one page. I think
Oh.
there were so many presidential candidates that they couldn't get them all on one page. We have a work session with the county engineers regarding construction projects update.
So I'm gonna lead into right off the bat, just so since Cheryl's here, wanted to give you a heads up that Cheryl's been working on it, I know, and Tom had asked me some questions. Our first payment will be coming up for work on the Flint Creek Bridge. So I think Cheryl and Becky have communicated maybe even this morning, and Becky's gonna handle all that, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that that's kind of the beginning of spending that money. It's not big or anything, it's just traffic control and stuff like that. But I wanted to mention that, which, you know, jumps the budget to some extent. Just I want to let you know that you're spending money as of the first claims period, the next claims period coming up.
We are?
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa,
I know.
whoa, whoa.
That wasn't part of the deal.
Wait, oh.
And then I wanted to, that kind of led into a conversation with Cheryl, and I wanted to ask, even with, I'm not ready to jump in by any means, but even with the COVID stuff, I think the kickoff budget meeting that we normally do, I think we need to think about that and where you guys want to do it, and trying to, you know, trying to comply with the social distancing stuff. But I think we all agree you lose some stuff with Zoom, and I think that's in my opinion, that's one of the important parts of our budget process. So I wanted to at least plant the seed in your brains about what you're thinking about doing there. I don't know if there's enough room at Stars Cave for what we've done in the past, but I don't know. I think it's the only time in the entire year that I can think of that we get that group of people into one room. I think it's a good thing. So it's more budget than it is projects, but I wanted to mention that.
I'm going to speak to the Empower You, I think Friday. Anyway, that's when they have all those high school kids. You guys all been there anyway. So they're gonna, I told them I could do it in person, they can do it by Zoom, but but they're gonna do it out, I think, at the National Guard or Army Reserve, that big auditorium they got. I wonder if, what you gotta do to get that. I'll ask Rachel from Go Greater Burlington. Yeah, well, find out what it costs or what the deal is.
Well, there's the auditorium possibly. I don't know if that's a possibility or not. I don't know how that works anymore. I mentioned our wash bay, but the problem with our wash bay is that it's really hard to hear. It's high ceilings, it's metal, it is really hard to hear in there. So it'd be a last resort. I mean, there's parking and stuff, but I don't know. It just came up, and so I thought I'd bring it up, lean into my work session.
I think if you'd hold that Jesse Howard, might be able to give you some input on that building out in Middletown.
Jesse Howard.
He's in the National Guard, he's one of the recruiters out there.
Well, I'm sure
thanks
Cheryl would chase
thanks-
ideas
yeah.
if you have
Thanks-
them.
Thanks for bringing that up. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah.
Well, it's actually Cheryl's credit. I just thought, well, it works well into mine because it does jump into budget and programs and projects and everything else. So I asked her to come on in so that I could bring it up, and that way you guys could work with her and get that figured out and go from there.
Kind of get a date set and go from there.
Was that what is it, AA Education Center out there off of West Avenue there by McDonald's, on up from McDonald's, they have a big room?
I don't know.
I don't know,
I've never-
I've been in there a couple times, but I've never seen a big conference
I haven't been
room.
in there since my kids were in school.
And it's gonna be important if we do something similar that there's some tables and chairs.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're not gonna wanna drag all that stuff in, you don't wanna put another load on maintenance just to have a meeting, but like I said,
And
I
if it's
think it's a good thing.
And if it's a big room, possibly a microphone too, because
Yeah.
we ended up moving all of our poll worker training out to the Pizzazz Convention Center, and that worked great for them, but that's also expensive to rent too,
Yeah.
so.
I'm sure if we start asking around, I mean, like, if we had to use our shop wash bay, for instance, I'm sure we could find somebody with a microphone speaker thing, karaoke machine, yeah, I'm sure we can figure out something, but, like I said, my wash bay would be an option. I could call it the last option because it's just not ideal for that group.
The First Nazarene Church has that big, youth center, behind.
Oh, that's where we had one of our precincts.
Yeah.
There might be a big area at the Harmony Bible Church area right there where the old grocery store. They might have a big area that they'd allow to be used. I don't know. I'll let you guys work with Cheryl. I want to bring it up. So,
When do you plan to kick off?
I haven't planned anything
When
yet.
when
I
we
had
do,
some
we usually do
quotes
it toward the end of November, or do we wait until December? I can't remember.
We usually do it toward the end of November, to give everybody time to work on their spreadsheets before they start having those budget hearings in January. So-
Give everybody a chance to run their Christmas vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
And everything seems to be,
We usually have
going
it
a little
before
late.
Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
actually. We try to. We haven't every year, but.
So that'll put us around the 23rd, man, and maybe 2 weeks from today.
23rd.
3 weeks from today.
23rd is a short week.
No,
Yeah.
2 weeks from today.
it's the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's the week
so
of
I can't,
Thanksgiving.
yeah.
We've got Veterans Day this week, next week, so.
And it doesn't matter to me,
We-
but I will be gone that week.
I was planning on it, but it depends on if I get more employees back in the office or
Well, I
not,
mean, it's
so.
heated.
It's heated?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
That wash basin
That's,
heated.
That's-
Yeah,
Well,
so,
I'll tell you what,
Don't have to worry about going in.
it's gonna be fine with us.
No,
Whatever
we're-
works for you guys.
what if we go into
And if you,
first,
if it's okay with you and Cheryl, it's not gonna be a problem with any of us.
What's
If I
that?
could,
if we have to
Terry
go
said
into
we had to go
December?
into December.
The
That's fine
30th
with me.
The
We've got
30th
it
is a
before.
Monday,
Yeah.
right off the bat, or,
Cause I'm even thinking that with the compensation board, cause they usually meet early December, but would it be better for them to meet in January?
the 30th.
Doesn't make any difference, we don't, when they do it in December,
Yeah.
we don't act on it right away.
Yeah, so I might have to talk to Dan on that one, so.
We haven't got the rollbacks yet, have we?
We do.
Oh, we did?
Just what, last week?
How is it?
Residential's gonna pay more. Surprise, surprise.
And
The
we-
rollback's not as good on residential.
Did, and we get the rollback. Did the values change on agricultural property this year, or is that next year? It just changes every 2 years, right?
Yeah, and it's odd numbered years, so it'll be next year,
It'd be next year, so they're the same values as last year,
basically.
but the rollback will have changed.
We shouldn't see a huge change.
Yeah,
We
if
did
you-
roll back some utilities this year, though.
If you'd email that out, that'd be great.
I don't have them done until I
Oh,
get.
no, I just meant the
I
rollback.
can give that to you, no problem.
Okay.
But I don't have values until I get TIF
Oh,
reports.
yeah,
from the
no, I know,
cities.
they don't have to give those to you till the end of January, till the end of December, do they?
December 1st, they have. to
Oh, is it
start.
December 1st?
And then I have till January 1st to get values.
Which
We
leads,
usually have not way before that.
which leads us into January. We keep going with this budget stuff. When do you guys want to schedule budget hearings? What's the latest date, or what's the,
We gotta stick with January.
Yeah,
Because
we're sticking with January.
They moved up that, you've got
We
that.
gotta do that extra publication.
2% or whatever the hell it is, that extra publication.
so we wanna start the first 2 weeks in January?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a push last year.
Yeah. Sooner the better.
Sorry.
Thank you for bringing all that up, Brian.
Yeah.
Oh,
We were talking in
again,
there,
credit
we
to
just brought
Cheryl, I
it in
mean,
here.
she went there and then it linked into some of my questions, so it worked out good for this moment right now, so.
Nope, that's good. I'm glad you thought of that, social distancing. When I was thinking about that, I was just thinking about Stars Cave, but yeah, that won't work.
We're too tight in there.
Yeah, because
Even if we tried to rearrange it, I
oh,
don't think we could.
because you got all sorts of,
Church out there, they got the big round tables, and 2 people sit across from each other. You know, you got your 6
Well,
foot there.
I have to talk to Rachel from Prograde or Burlington anyway to get a
I
time.
got here at 10.
That ain't already.
I could get
I'll
a
just
hold
ask
of,
them
I'll talk
who
to
they
Cheryl,
talk
but I
to
can
and
get
what
a
it
hold of
costs to
Jeff
get that.
Alexander, he's the minister out there, so I can answer any.
I know,
That's where we.
you know, you mentioned Rachel, they have
Yeah,
that
for
closed.
church and
I don't know if they have, if people comply with social distancing, they have that big room up there too. But I know that their office are closed still, I believe. So I just mentioned, I would mention that too, as a chamber.
Last,
Okay, so, yeah, I can leave that
I
as an
think the
option.
last meeting was Zoom a couple weeks ago.
We brought up with the director, I think, about wanting to do something in person, and she mentioned that was a couple weeks ago that they were still closed. I don't know if their policies are gonna change or not, I don't know who makes those decisions, but.
Speaking of directors, this is off the subject. Trombino didn't get fired. Did you see that in the paper?
Who?
Oh, he didn't?
He was the director of DOT.
Oh, yeah.
He had moved up to the head of administrative services for the governor. I thought that was strange that he'd get fired.
He moved up, huh? Well,
I wanted to make sure I told you, and if I let it go.
Good for him.
I forget it.
Okay, okay, construction project, okay. That would be you, Brian.
Well, I let him with my question, but, the other thing I wanna mention to you is, and I don't remember if you guys signed anything for my application or not, I can't remember to be honest with you, but we are in the process of applying statewide. There's a federal grant that 2 years ago, the DOT and the counties kind of worked together and submitted an application, and it was, like 21.
Is that your call?
Anyway, it was a lot of bridges, and it was a different way of doing things, and we were not part of that. We didn't qualify on anything for that, and that was fine. There's another grant coming up that, it's a federal grant, nobody knows a lot about it, nobody knows if it's really gonna happen, because we are coming to the end of a transportation bill, and they've gotta do something to keep the money flowing, stuff like that. There's a lot of what ifs. We did submit an application as part of it. I think there's 80 some counties, 70 some counties that all submitted a single bridge application. You are supposed to, it's geared towards bigger structures. So we headed towards, the last truss bridge we have in our entire system up in the bottoms, across the big ditch. That's the bridge that we put in. The goal was to target bridges that are gonna be hard to fund. That bridge is one of those, just because it's a longer bridge, but it's on a very low volume gravel road. And but it's also one I consider of importance because it's posted now, because of some new rule changes through the DOT, because that allowing the heavier trucks, I've covered that with you guys a year or two ago. And we have another issue is that the bridge, almost kind of adjacent to it on Highway 99, is now triggering some significant concerns. You don't really pay attention to it, but it's right by, remember where we built the kind of low water crossing on Hawkeye Road, west of, north of Mediapolis Road, and then all the way up north past Mediapolis Road on 99. And it's a bridge right there at that intersection. And that bridge is, I just got a call from our engineers warning us that they need to come down and do some additional inspection on the deck, and it may have some issues we have to deal with. And so the reason I say all this is because, of course, you kind of got the bluff, you got Highway 99, and this is the only other north-south route down in that area. And so we're applying for it. It looks to me like we're gonna be, there's two groups, it looks like, of applicants. I don't think we're gonna qualify in that top group, but it looks like we will qualify in the second group. And I only mention it because we will in all likelihood have some type of a match if we were to succeed. Somewhere between 20%, as high as a 50% is one of the things they're warning. I don't see that being the case, 50%. I could see it more towards 20% if I had to guess. But obviously, you're applying for a pot of money you don't actually know the full size of. and you don't actually know how many bridges are gonna qualify. So there's just a lot of unknowns, but you gotta try, I guess. So I wanted to give you a heads up, because if we were to be successful and be part of a group that succeeds in getting some outside money towards this bridge, it's going to be a curveball for our program. I'll have to sit down and look at all our different funding sources. We're talking out towards 2023, give or take, so there's a few years to kind of figure some stuff out, but we do a pretty good job of maximizing our funds and pushing as hard as we can to get things done. So we don't typically sit on a huge balance of our revenue, so.
It's just gonna push back paving that blows the road.
It's gonna push back everybody's road. But, so, I don't know, I wanted to mention that to you, and we may end up having another work session depending on what I hear about that bridge, on Highway 99 right there also, so, when we got Highway 99, it was the gift that keeps on giving.
That's not as big as, long as bridge as the one that we replaced, where the guy shot across.
No, it's longer than that. That was actually the shortest bridge on 99, the one that shot across.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember the length of that one off the top of my head, but it's longer than that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, bluntly, all the bridges on 99 were in need, and you can see that from our program. We did the work on that one. We're doing our hands down worst one coming up right now this winter. The next one we're on line for is the next one north, and it's rating wise right there behind the one we're doing. So we'll figure all that out and maybe have another work session if I see issues as far as the funding side of it, but and it may all just sit and wait, but I wanted to know that we were applying, because one of the questions they ask is your board willing to allow you to figure out a match for this? And of course, I answered yes, but then as it moves on, I want you guys to be aware that we are proceeding and pushing and trying to succeed with that application. So we'll find out.
We've got to take care of 99, because that's farm to market, main farm to market road.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll go into stuff further. We have farm to market roads all over the county, and it doesn't really govern exactly how we budget. I hope someday we get to a point where it's not just the worst of the worst, but that's kind of how we handle it. And we're far from the only road department that has to handle things that way. But 99 is just pure and simple, maybe our most crucial county paved road we have as far as connectivity. You can certainly make that argument. So it is important. Probably even more so to the agricultural sector than maybe some of the other, but it's important no matter how you look at it. Just look at how big a deal it was to close it down the edge of Burlington. So anyway, just as a heads up, that was the biggest thing I wanted to bring to your attention. I wanted to do it in a public meeting so that, because it's a $2 to $2.5 million job to replace that bridge. We did sign, just as a reminder, seeing this kind of coming, it does sit in the middle of our construction program. It's called an illustrative project.
A what?
An illustrative project, and the reason for that is that when I put together a construction program, the first 4 years, I wanna say, you're supposed to try to make sure that the bridge funding you have in there doesn't greatly exceed the true amount you have. They're just trying to make that whole mathematical thing work. And so if you put it as illustrative, it basically says, we're looking at outside funds, this 2 million or whatever it is in this, we don't actually have that money budgeted in looking at our funding sources. So the point being is that there's something you guys don't receive, but it complies with some obligations we have on that side. So it is in our program, and it's in our program pretty much because of this possibility. I didn't think we'd succeed. We haven't succeeded yet. The other thing is we will, if we do fit into one of these two categories, there's gonna be two different groups of bridges, thus there'll be two different applications. The County Engineers Association is gonna hire a consultant or somebody to write this grant. It's a grant process. And whoever, the members of each of those groups will split the cost on that process of writing that grant. So we will have some out-of-pocket expense with no guarantee of succeeding. So just, I guess, another heads up that, I'm committed to that. We can do that. I think I guess it's a risk reward, but it's worth the risk for the potential of the reward. So, anyway, just wanted to give you a picture of that, because it's kind of all been going on behind the scenes in my office, and it's gotten far enough now, I really wanted it out there for you guys to be aware of it. So, otherwise, that's the biggest thing I wanted to cover, just to make sure you're aware of that whole picture, and when we get a little bit more information, have a better idea, I'll certainly sit back down and we'll talk additional methods of funding or what my options are, and maybe we can shuttle some stuff around. But we definitely we've done a lot of bridge work, and I guess it's still, we've got bridges just kind of nipping at our heels that we still need to deal with. So that's the way it goes. So, anyway, that's what I have on that subject. Like I said, I just wanted that out there. So,
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
so thought I'd save the pain and suffering of doing it in a meeting for everybody to listen to.
Okay, so where are we eating at then?
Well, that's to be
It'll probably be
determined.
summertime by the time we get these all signed.
Thank you, that's all for me.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, so we're over, we're done?
We are. Thanks, Colin.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop the stream here just a moment.
Okay.